Utie oha echi ponkno. Needs FM.
Program just about 2:30 p.m. Now, your name Minister for Trade, Alan Kwadwo, Alan John Kwadwo Chematine, etimi atwetwe enkomo ekakra. Na first part of the program no, and na ye hwehwe say e de NIB, National Investment Bank.
Yeah.
Na o hwe de ye Kwame Nkrumah National Investment Bank. That's that time W we afenom. So na just employees we afe. Now we want to businessmen. So Mr. Obenum and the boss said Kwame Nkrumah ye investment banker and more Ghanaian businesses. So and more Ghanaian businesses. Na omuntimi enko womanim ene ma NIB buy na ene ubusa say your business environment net is saying and yeah a wholly owned Ghanaian bank ebetimi edisika ama an indigenous Ghanaian business executive na within a period of say 48 months a new 60 months 4 5 years na afa na koba say your issue rate of summons ti yakwa jisika no and now sika ne ma na akwa ye ka na fe ne yakwa issue rate of 5 fee say ye de ko gine japade nyina iti and for the purposes of say your discussion into no and ye particular court case decision of the court ba and that rate of 5 fee no ye kan na fe ye dwendwene ho afre business executives afre economists say die na we economy yi mu a enu nti die na we economy yi mu a enu nti ye betimi extend such a facility ama an indigenous Ghanaian na ode kwaye adwuma na ebetimi abase afane santemase na fe bank ebetwe no na we o ye ne den ti wote wadwene pam na wote ase na wonya business den 90 years ye ma $3 million a ade a wadwene be ye o say wobetimi aboka ame asa abeje wo ho no ma
Wafa so be no obesori preko peso kwakwaji loan facility. Emje sebe ye business nkakra nkuma sometimes no utimi ko ekokwaji loan say what the barber revampo said ya normal etie. Well ni nyina mo no when that so say obetimi aye dey run this business no now they recover some facility no. Enti na mostly no akwansidia ben e ba ye so ho because obi anu a me gidi say sebe obesori keke say bako resika kura bia bi akwaje loan na sebe nipa ni nima de kura loan no de ba be ye enti akwansidia ben na ba ye no na wubisa no ebia de na ekokoba ya because 3 million Ghana cedis
$3 million US
dollars okay yeah $3 million US dollars enti now it just to me say there might be some problems
okay yanking kind a ruling of the court so na rate of 5 fee no yenhwe no ma ese yakwagie na fe niamra me interview no yakoso betimi a WhatsApp here on 050
600 0909
again
050 600 0909
encore
050 600 0909
because we na dey we are just unhunu dey we yo o say in the Superior Court of Judicature, in the High Court of Justice, Commercial Division, held in Accra on Thursday, the 14th day of November, 2016, before her ladyship Justice Jennifer Abinadazi. On say 2016, now and the 2019, the Akudro no, yadiaba. Now suit number no deba is a BFS /321/14. National Investment Bank Limited, Accra. On a plaintiff, the applicant, versus All Ship Logistics Limited, where ye defendants, respondents. 2. Robert Kingsford Kutin Jr., Nungwa. 3. Sarah Barnes, Tema. And this is the ruling of the court. Also, plaintiff, applicant, hereafter the plaintiff, is a financial institution incorporate under the laws of the Republic of Ghana. It engages in the provision of financial and allied services, among other businesses. The first defendant, respondent, thereafter the first defendant, is a company registered under the laws of Ghana and engages in the business of shipping, ship chandling, clearing and forwarding of goods. warehousing, and chartering of ship, among others. The second defendant, respondent, is a director of first defendant company. The third defendant is also a director of the first defendant company. She also guaranteed the repayment of the loan and overdraft granted to the first defendant by plaintiff. On November 19, 2016, the plaintiff issued a writ of summons against the defendants, which was subsequently amended on 14th April, pursuant to leave granted by the court, claiming the following reliefs. 1. Payment of the sum of $3.129, or $3,129,329.98, being the principal and accrued interest as of June 2014 on a foreign currency loan of $2,844,271.20. The plaintiff granted the defendant company on 26th of April 2013 into a money loan of $2 million, US dollars, $2,844,271 or the man 26th of April 2013. So not just 72 months 72 months. Or say, but which the defendant have failed and or refused to pay despite persistent demands.
Okay.
Or say the periods for which the facilities were granted having expired, repeated demands were made on the defendants to repay same, but they have woefully failed or refused to do so till date. Or say in their defense to the claims raised by the plaintiff, the defendants do not deny that the plaintiff granted the first defendant these financial facilities. They, however, dispute the amounts claimed by the plaintiff to be due and owing. Further, the defendants argue that they were not provided with copies of certain vital correspondence on the facilities and a comprehensive statement of the accounts. For this reason, they were not in a position to either confirm or deny the amounts in question, in issue. The following issues were set down for trial by the court after pre-trial settlement failed. 1. Whether or not the defendants owe the amounts claimed by the plaintiff. 2. Whether or not the plaintiff is entitled to the relief endorsed on the writ. Also, the plaintiff subsequently brought this application under Order 14 of the High Court Civil Procedure Rules 2004 CI 47, hereafter CI 47, for summary judgment to be entered against the defendants and supported its application with several SBs. The defendants opposed this application on the grounds that the application seeks to short circuit the judicial process and would not do substantial justice between the parties having regard to the pleadings and the issues joined in the suit. In particular, the defendants state that they have challenged the quantum of plaintiff's claim as there are serious discrepancies between the principal sum claim in the motion for summary judgment and the loan agreement exhibited by the plaintiff in support of its application. In sum, the defendants contended that they had a good defense to the suit as triable issues had been raised between the parties. On the basis of this challenge, the plaintiff withdrew its motion for summary judgment. With leave of the court, the plaintiff amended its writ of summons and statement of claim on April 12, 2016, and thereafter filed a new motion for summary judgment on June 1, 2016, which is the application before the court which requires adjudication. The relevant extract of Order 14, Rule 1 of the CI 47 provides as follows. 14.1. Where an action, a defendant has been served with a statement of claim and has filed appearance, the plaintiff may, on notice, apply to the court for judgment against the defendant on the ground that the defendant has no defense to claim, to a claim included in the writ, or to a particular part of such a claim, or that deliberations with the auditor and neither party was opposed to the court accepting the report into evidence. Upon reviewing the report, the court ascertained the following facts. 1. As of June 2014, the defendants were indebted to the plaintiff on the foreign currency term loan in the sum of $3,073,086 United States dollars and 20 cents, 3,073,086.20. 2. As of June 2014, the defendants were indebted to the plaintiff on its overdraft facility in the sum of 7,961,054 Ghana cedis, 7.9 million cedis. The court knows that these amounts, which the report indicates are due, outstanding, and owed to the plaintiff by the defendants, were accepted by the defendants as a true reflection of the status of their indebtedness to the plaintiff. In the circumstance, I am of the opinion that, given the facts and the nature of the defense filed by the defendants to do suit, it is just and proper for me to grant the instant application for summary judgment and enter judgment in favor of the plaintiff for the amounts conceded without need for a lengthy trial on the matter. In fact, in light of the report, there are now no triable issues arising between the parties herein, and the defendants have no defense to the plaintiff's claim. I am fortified, in my opinion, by the statement of Lord Justice Parker in the English case of Home and Overseas Insurance Company Limited in liquidation 1983, or England Report 74 at page 77, that or say the purpose of Order 14 is to enable a plaintiff to obtain a quick judgment where there is plainly no defense to the claim. This was echoed by the Supreme Court in the case of Ballast Needham VV Horizon Marine Construction Company 2010, Supreme Court Ghana Legal Report 435, where the court held that, or say, and I quote, although the procedure for summary judgment under Order 14 of the High Court Civil Procedure Rules 2004 CI 47 enables the plaintiff to obtain a speedy and summary judgment without a trial, even in cases where the defendant to the action expresses an intention to defend the action, the court may only grant the application in cases where the defendant is unable to set up a good defense or raise an issue which ought to be tried. Consequently, by Order 14 Rule 5, I will enter judgment in favor of the plaintiff for the sums of $3,073,086 United States dollars and 20 cents and 7,961,044 Ghana cedis. So when I say that, 2016 November na judgment
we buy. Okay. The judge say can who do you what they were into the foreign
loan of $2.8
million
and overdraft $7.9 million and 7.9 million cedis. And no, and yet 18th of March 2019 suit number BFS/321/14 or saying the High Court of Justice Commercial Division, National Investment Bank, Liberty Avenue, Accra plaintiff versus all ships, Robert Kingsford Cutin Jr., Sarah Barnes, and I say precipice for rate of 5 fee. And or the other, or say please seal a rate of 5 fee to enable the plaintiff judgment creditor hearing execute the judgment hearing dated the 14th day of November 2016.
Okay.
So dated at Derrick Law Consort 14th day of March 2019. And normal bank and yes, or say endorsed to levy on 1. Plot number 40/4LS/RE/DE/282 Community 10 Tema.
Okay.
2. Commercial property registered as number LVB/CR/419/89 Ashanti Road, London Bridge, Cape Coast. Number 3. Plot number E13 Efia Cocoa Products Industrial Area Extension, Secondary Takrade. Then in number 4. 7.12 acre land with warehouse at Dumpim, Papese, Takwa. Okay. And then 5, plot number IND/A/3A/9 Tema. And then 6, plot number TDC 556/IND/A/55/3 and 5 Tema. And then plot number 8, Ni Odai Ayuku Link, Nungwa. And then movable properties including trucks, motor vehicles, machinery, and equipment. And you see young Kwankwaji. Na yamfan Kwankwaji kano. Na a dear Dama said 2013. And now what this Ikarima no. It is just 72 months munie. April 2010, 72 months, 6 years munie. Na in the Ghanaian economy no, a dear na cost to be $2.8 million US, given by a wholly owned Ghanaian business, a Ghanaian bank, to an indigenous Ghanaian businessman, so on fanko yadwuma ne sika ne be fa ne santem ase ama watimi assign abakra say overdraft of 7.9 million Ghana cedis eso be san fa ne nsemo. These are the issues I was here near the boa Ghanaian businessmen or more similar circumstances in the DNA economy Yanko University of Cape Coast now at the lecturer at the business school and economist Professor John Gatti Nyankonko Busana the Ghanaian economy no what is the structure of it. How does it operate? And you bet me this says we are more beer, a bit me a fan in Santa Masia, and nay, a veteran of Bosso, Ama Yahoo, Nessa way as a study, ya share and can year Ghanaian banks, no, almost this Kabama Ghanaian businessmen are now. Yakas, you are no quon, yet Danese Ghana Sika, Edema Lebanese in his one Banco Toko. Also $100 million one Banco Toko, Sikana and me and Mama, banks Makuma Kubes in Num, Kadina Kaya or more. Professor Gachi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Prof, how are you today?
I'm fine by the grace of God.
Right. In simple terms, our understanding, how does the Ghanaian economy operate, or how is it like to the extent that a Ghanaian businessman, indigenous businessman, may be granted a financial facility by a wholly owned Ghanaian bank to the tune of 2.8 million US dollars, and then in the 72nd month, 6 years after the grant, the person is unable to pay, and the person a rate of fee issued for all his belongings, including that of the company, be sold off to defray part of the loan granted.
Well, I think we need to make some corrections. No Ghanaian bank will lend such amount of money to an individual businessman. The money is definitely lent to the business. So you will look at the nature of the business, the size of the business, the cash flow of the business, and the specific project that the business desires to invest the money in. So I think that when we describe it as it is the businessman that the money was given to, then it will sound as if he alone was able to take that money. So that is the first thing I think we need to correct and emphasize.
That's all right with us. That in fact, the first defendant is All Ship Logistics, a limited liability company, a company recognized in law as more or less a business entity.
Yeah. So that is the point I'm making. Yeah, but the thing is that the Ghanaian economy is structured in such a way that the interest rate regime is very high, and the interest rate regime is a motivation for default. I'm saying this because most of our loans are short-term in nature. So this business takes that amount of money without any moratorium, or even if there's any moratorium at all, 1 month or so. Then after that, it's expected to start paying when he has not even started investing the money. So that creates a problem. So you realize that most of the businesses, they take the loan, but after 2 months, they start using part of the loan to start servicing the loan. And that does not augur well for businesses to turn around and make a sense out of the money that they get. That is one aspect of the situation. The other aspect is whether in lending the money, the proper credit appraiser was actually undertaken to know the credit rating of the individual institutions taking the money, to know that the cash flow that was actually targeted for the repayment of the loan is something that will be relied on. Then, before you come to the quality of collateral that was actually used to procure the loan. But from experience, you will notice that many people with political tags find it very difficult to repay their loan. And I'm not saying that people with political tags do not pay their loan. But when you look at the default profile, you will realize that such people, it becomes very difficult to collect loans. And banks go through this difficult time to get them to pay the loans that they legitimately acquire, and the banks are legitimately requiring for repayment. Sometimes banks will have to go behind the laid down credit policy and credit procedures to collect the money. Sometimes banks will have to spend extra money going to talk to chiefs. In fact, some of them who are in political parties, you have to go and talk to leaders of political parties that this top-ranking person in your party, this is the problem the bank has with him. Then they call him and talk to him to see whether he will pay. So these are the difficulties that I think banks go through when people with such a caliber get money and perhaps their businesses are not going on well. Repayment becomes very difficult. But this is a special case. Special case because when there was default over a period of time, every financial institution will pursue you severally, visit you, try to understand you, sometimes even invite you to get your side of the story, to know whether actually you are just refusing to repay or you have something that is beyond you for which they want to negotiate to let you understand that where we have gotten to, we need to take a second measure. Beyond that, they write you demand notice to pay over a period of time. They follow all those things and document them. When all these things do not work, then they go to court. They go to court and get judgment. Now, what we should be asking is that what made the judgment not to be followed? Because the judgment was not today. The judgment was actually procured some time ago. Who prevented?
In fact, in the current instance, it was procured in November 2016.
Very good. So let's say that the judgment was procured in November 2016. So let's say that the bank will want to look at the company and see whether they will rush to come and make some payment. Then, from that time up to today, we are getting to about 3 years. What was the reason why the bank was not able to execute the order given by the court? So those are things that you need to understand. And when you go into that, you will realize that the things that I explained earlier on, that certain caliber of people, when they enter into a debt trap like this, repayment becomes very difficult because of the interference that we have in our system, etc. So perhaps that is the reason why this money has not been paid. And then the bank was also not courageous enough to execute the order given by the court.
So, these may be challenges banks go through, businessmen go through. But then, is it a case that a limited liability company granted this kind of facility may not have known in exact what they intended to use the facility for, and the receivables accruing such that they are able to pay off the facility?
I think for that one, the bank should be able to give us information because all you know, during the period we are talking about, they were receiving good cash flow for their projects and for their activities, for their operations. So as to why they were not able to pay, I think the interaction with the company and its management by the bank will reveal whether actually they are in good business and they were not able to pay, or they were not in good business. That is not established because the loan was granted using the expected cash flow as collateral. That is the first collateral, that you are giving the money to the bank, the company, because you expect that the company will generate revenue through its activities or the project you want to undertake. So that, in my opinion, is the first collateral. It is when that first collateral is not working that you go to the collateral that you put in the book, like the building that you were mentioning, etc. So we will need to know from the bank whether during that period the company is in good business, and even as we are speaking, whether the company is still standing or the company has collapsed. Then you will clearly understand the issues that I'm raising.
So, any businessman sitting somewhere or any limited liability company desirous of having a financial injection to expand their operations would relish the opportunity of being given a facility to the tune of, say, $3 million US, thinking they can really do something good with it. So what is it that a limited liability company here in Ghana may get this opportunity, and in 72 months, we are where we are now?
That is why I was saying that should be described, or should be that those details should be given by the bank, because they have interaction with them. Were they not in good business? Were they not? Presented with a very good business proposal for which that money was given. The monies were also not normally such huge sum of money are not dispersed at one go. It comes in tranches. What it means is that the bank will look at what the company was using the money for, get satisfied, then they monitor. That's what the banks have, what they call project finance department or unit, to monitor all those things. So if you get the details for the bank, you will clearly note whether the person or the bank, the company, just decide that they will not pay, or they have a serious problem. As of now, those details are not given by the bank.
Given the background of the bank, National Investment Bank, the basis for Kwame Nkrumah setting it up at the time, WAFA of the Eastern Region and other indigenous Ghanaian businesses and Ghanaian limited liability companies desirous of getting into investment to operate and then alleviate hardship by Ghanaians. Kwame Nkrumah set up the National Investment Bank. So how could the bank open itself up by giving this kind of money to a limited liability company and capping it up with a 7 million CD overdraft, all of which are unable to require as at November 2016, are standing till 3 years later that you issue a rate of fee wanting to sell off properties to defray part of the amount?
You need again to get some details for the bank, because I am not in position to say whether they got that loan as a result of a particular project that they were undertaking, whether for government, assuming it's for government, whether government has paid those monies over the period, or they have not been paid over the period. When we get the details, then we can answer all those questions. And in reality, there are other business people or businesses that have taken more money than what we are talking about, but they have paid on schedule because they wanted to pay, or because their businesses were doing well. So the quantum is only necessary because it either fall within their credit policy, because the bank itself has a credit policy that might be aligned with the credit policy accepted by the Bank of Ghana. So what we should be asking, whether that amount fall within the credit policy requirement. Then secondly, whether the limit that set out to be given to a particular or an individual company have been exceeded or has not been exceeded. So long as it's within, I think that is not the issue. The issue is that some other company receive more money than that, but they have been able to pay. So as to why this one is not able to pay, is the bank that will be in position to give us the details to get to that conclusion.
According to the court records, it is not as if this particular company has paid and has gotten into difficulties midway. Court records indicate a facility of $2.8 million is granted, and as at the time the court was giving the ruling on the summary judgment, the amount due was $3.1 million. That is an extra $300,000, representing interest. So there appears not to be any record of any payment so far made to defray part of the $2.8 million. So you ask yourself, who are in charge of the indigenous Ghanaian banks, and what are they using depositors' money for?
Well, I think that is the reason why the bank has gone to court. I told you that the bank will go through a process. So they will follow all those processes. If they get to the final destination of the processes and they are not able to collect their money, then the next point of call is the court. So that's why the bank has gone to the court. But the point I'm making, which is for me is very critical, is that the bank officials, especially those in the project finance department, should be able to give us a detail as to whether, in their opinion, the company has the cash flow, but we're not willing to pay. Then we can discuss the matter, because it will be strange that you collect such amount of money, not a single payment was made, interest has accrued to such a thing, and then no payment was made. That I think the detail is not given out. So I think we need to contact the bank to give the details. Is the company even alive as we speak? Is the company still in operation? And remember the kind of judgment. We are not talking about judgment that was given on the merit. The judgment was given based on default judgment. Is that not so?
Exactly, where the court ruled that the defendant did not have any defense to the figures given by the bank.
I think the first principle in default judgment is that the person is not availing himself. Is that not so?
Failed or refused to pay.
To make a defense. So that should tell you that the nature of this credit debtor. So you need to now start studying who is this debtor, this company, what kind of company is this. So that gives you an idea that they are not even perceived about the debt that is hanging on them. You can go to court, so they are in court, they pass judgment and so forth. So that
so the fact that the second defendant, who also doubles as the chairperson of the New Patriotic Party in the Central Region, would that have any impact on the action of the company?
I can only tell you my experience that banks go through a lot of headaches. In fact, if you see many bank managers, many of them are sick because of this trauma of taking some of these debts. To the extent that when you realize that some of these people are connected to political parties, instead of using the bank procedure and what the law requires, you are even trying to negotiate, lobbying, by going to talk to people who matter. Oh, can you talk to this person? He's owing a huge sum of money. If you can start paying something. In fact, sometimes you have to even go to opinion leaders, traditional leaders, to call them. So you study their background and see, are they aligned to a particular traditional area? Are they held to a particular throne? You use all those things. A lot of things do happen with this type of debtors. So you need to talk to the bank. Maybe the bank will give you more detail how they suffered with the creditor. And more so, this money we are talking about, remember we are talking about default judgment. It is not because the bank just go to court without recourse to the company in question. It is because the company is not availing itself to meet the legal standards. So they cannot be waiting for the company. So the court has to go ahead and pass judgment. Of course, default judgment can be set aside within a certain period of time. But you need to be asking yourself, is the company and the owners not concerned that they should wait until they go through a default judgment? And the default judgment was passed getting to 3 years, but nothing is going on. Who is preventing the execution of the judgment? How do you get this matter that you are discussing now? Is it the bank that relay it to you, or maybe some of your media houses that actually publish it as a matter of public interest case? Those things should give you a lead as to the type of company we are talking about, and perhaps the work that the bank officials have done to retrieve this money. And there are many like that in the system.
Professor John Catton, Ghana, I wish I did not have to ask this final question, but let me see. You may reserve your comments. That this is MPP chairman who is granted a facility in the period of NDC. Another MPP person is also granted a facility in the period of MPP. And these politicians will sit down and say that when this government can, our people are not are squeezed, our people don't get the support. So what is the relationship between the Ghanaian politician from either side of the divide with Ghanaian financial institutions, such that they may be given such huge monies and the banks may be at wit's end to recovering such facilities?
I don't get your question.
In fact, I didn't want you to get it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hey! Maji.
Baba.
Eti unya $1 million unya events $3 million a day na baye. TA. Ose adakabre. $1 million is equivalent to 5 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Old currency 50 billion cedis. So $3 million is equivalent to 15 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Old currency 150 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Azarakabre, in order of a scale of preference, this is how one can utilize this money wisely and judiciously.
Okay.
500,000 Ghana cedis can be used as a starter as shoe factory in Obuasi.
Yeah.
So 500,000 every shoe factory.
$500,000 and
that's 500,000 cedis.
Cedis, okay.
What they buy, just say 150 billion.
Okay. So,
it's 500,000. What they buy shoe factory, best start shoe factory Obuasi. Another 500,000 cedis, you know. Or the best start Kente weaving factory.
Okay.
Or say another 500,000, you know. Or the Bayer microfinance and or the Obama market women low interest loans. Or say another 500,000 cedis, you know. Or the Bayer starter at the setting up pineapple drinks factory. I will a Caribbean city say a kumfi. Or say another 500,000 Ghana cedis, you know. Or the best set up a school training people to learn how biogas technology. So and then another 500,000 cedis, you know. Or the backward northern part of the country, aqua cassava production and the same YouTube bunch. Or the backward cassava production, whether a factory or something profitable. We could invest. Nanapia, I want to committee 7. And what in the it won 150 billion cities, you know. Also, do the other day. What's up with
050-600-0909.
Repeat
050-600-0909.
Encore
050-600-0909.
Also, but the best way for developing economy like Ghana to be able to be stable is to invest more in agriculture and engage the youth in entrepreneurship. It's 150 billion cedis, you know, and I say otherwise 15 million
Ghana cedis,
or the
yeah, well, Vanya is you, and yes, Cateto and your boss, son.
And I was I know the bedding.
Oh, yeah, men, second quadia, the Medibane, men, second quadia,
I would say,
the main casa me kwa you now mom say men sa kan dia because answer now me say me kwa je say me kwa loan no hey me two na mo say me kwa say sika no na say bank no so be hwem no mo de ama me dia me wo de me be
bank na hwe mo be hu say say de ma
me na say bank no kwa say loan na anya so mfiti no mo de ama wo wanya so mfiti no mo de ama
no etesen say wunya say sika no a wo betimi de aye adwuma bi atuatua ho aka
e be ye profitable a betimi de atua so say nuti na wofa enuti na say sika no say eye ne titiri wanya usika ehye obotom na de awopɛ wo de aye na mum eye say bosia na wokɔ akɔbɔ ne de say obomode atena se hu say sika say mesaka ade egboyi na mese me de kɔ akɔkɔ because me de minim so obi betimi atena se eje madam fu bi na emri bi okɔji loan no ne saka loan na no to Guinness crate me no and no the good taxi to and na offer dropping or say ne saka loan so into or spread it. Apart from that, then minimum beer. What the cobra?
Young co.
Yeah.
Na papa, we a businessman. And or sign your president Ghana Union Traders Association.
Okay.
Na young conco say access to loans, availability of financial facilities to Ghanaian businesses. Na almost basa omunsa keskadibia. Economy no etesen how betimi aye adwuma according to business development plan na we ye na ye de ye nyina so de sika no ema wo no na ye nwuno Dr. Joseph Kwaku obenye mo ha
ya eja
doc na humpo etesen awie yi
yeso adom me hoye
oye yankomo aye die availability or access to financial facilities by Ghanaian businesses. Na case in point, say papa your friend Robert Kutin or ne Sarah Barnes and na womu ekokoji loan edema company your friend Allship na 2014 yakoji loan of $2.8 million na by November 2016 na triano ntimi my bank no call court National Investment Bank the interest of $300,000 can home say court no emma womu judgment no womu fa enkonkoji womu esika Now that time no masama an overdraft facility of 7 million cedis so I know so yeah outstanding wo mu hia wo mu sika. In 2016 na musaka judgment no as at March 2019 na just still an sika no mai into mama yasan issue rate of 5 year yede akwa tetare ajapadia company ni wo ene wo ma gi loan so endorse ye ni nyina so wo say yede akwa tetika no so na no ni yebusa say access to business funding and NASA financial facilities no guta members businessmen in general, business executives in general at the same awo man mu
Yo, whether me for kwenye so achia wetie for. But yeah, access to loan. Yeah, make say subjective. I say banks no almost share ankram bia ne na holding any obia negotiating power and omo de loan no amano. Enti for now no de make me aka say the banks need be a structure or more loans no and yet difficult. Say if you have the wherewithal to take it. Because woman kasa wo due diligence accessibility to capital is not very difficult, I must say.
Na se ewo mu nsusu a Ghanaian economy no ubebusa se sen na emu esi etie senkampo wo business executive unya sa $3 million a ubetimi de aye etimi atuatua wo ho aka ama adwuma no so atan gina after paying off.
Say and yes, what say me that's a brand wafa kra na say the sika no. So debiano loan no dey ho. And the trappings of even you getting loans no so now when I saw share environment and we share you kra wo kwa kudi na we dey akonje sika kra wo koje no. Into no discretional any prudent business management and a year driving for collecting any loan. And it's a one year sanya man now I'm able to collect a loan into me kwakoji no one share with timelines do my proud because your timelines any be insight be lack of insight wo you man won't mean to say we me plania meet me to your Canada and ye one kasa with lack of discretion and amo akobasa into also subjective because on conforms to make kwaje skaprona under the same economic environment emma wo mutimi de ye adwuma SOCD.
Iti our current economic environment say unya facility the tune of say $3 million or more krana say unim dia wo koye pa na ubetimi dia yetuetua ho aka unya challenge bia.
Yes, adwuma bia wo ye bia say unya adwuma ni mu ntiase na wo hu the timelines say bia you would turn over any say your government contract kwama akoya say wutimi hu say dia aban situa wo mo aka on say equity loan koye aban enyuma no wo mutimi overprice contract no and so still no enam say wo nim say kwaji bank loan kwa na eye den ya na yetua obenya bibi kakra and so wo say time na ye dibetua ne ka no kwa no na ama sa time na no expect no and so wo kwaji no na wonim say a buy payment there and definite and I say yeah environment idea sanet and what they could into one say a bank loan interest no plan abba na above shadow on only profit no plan you should be able to assess the environment and then make your prudent decision.
And Tiguta members collectively would agree to the position you made earlier say loan the banks na kan ho a ye de mamu na mfentum no etesen
Edia infantum ni den.
Ensi ho no.
Ensi ho no so say am fa say say abjadi ni bia no o koje sika. So wu say de si ton ade wo dwa so no. Ye di aro obi beto ade wo pedi afon. So bia so ani bia say guy Bank of Ghana and what they say my baseline a base rate or they about to into or no my information no say this is the room now it do tell me yana banks need be take advantage of the fact that we do not even negotiate with them once the distance between the base rate and the interest, the actual interest that they give us, we will say I don't know you move akotwe into or no see na di tie trim say ye dwabie any bank ni di so obi atena ho say wo bank bi na ni interest no ye twitwa mene a jai entempa na ne ko ba bia wo benya ne fo eno to a negotiation into wo say even the same bank no e be yo nwa say obetimi am obi 22%, no am obi 25%, no obi 28. E do tell be a wo say risk management no home can of course and no see it true but normally no they take undue advantage over us.
Na no enhyehyɛ wɔ hɔ a yɛtumi keep an eye on such banks to say wɔn make us a risk assessment na ɛmfa emu wɔn ekopɛ SK.
So on say wo kopɛ so a wo so re say wo ade a ɛsɛ de wo besi aka wasɛm nti wo kɔ ka wasɛm atre bank no no ahwɛ so de amabo a wɔde saa ɛtoɔ no bɛma nti wo anka wasɛm ye ama antɔ na sum sɛ saa de we de wo betumi atua ne ntem na me risk of return no enye lower not wo say na risk of return no better ansa na aba ono no de saa delays no ebeto so e di amount nti ono so ni na no e subjective say ye nia no ene yetimi etie ho ehu say environment no e okay for rest na yen se ba ya fam ho no ma the area empa say ba trading ho na the ya na area empa no titu no ye over trading so wo say waduma no e koso kakra no wo so uti ayode enti adwuma bi a waye adwuma wanya store ba ko yenu nanka enta waka ho kakra nanka wo retest a wo de ba no de bi anka wo di bi to ana so di bi ya de na senka store no wetimi manage na pasa na ebi tia bi a yetrimutimi ye de ema ye poswa toniema ya suppliers so etimi we was water toniema free no wo kra niema free no or the pressure at all so now so wo giniema dugum enti wani bete no na tepi abosia bi na akɔgye ya na fei aye tetrete na niema no so wanya niema bebre so na ne to no so aye slower than sepia enka wo betua no ya trading ho no de sade no high empa and afei so the trappings of the bank itself. So what bank be able to say if you are one turnover you good what tia what this carpet will be up and anka won kwaji loan na oyi wadwuma kama wo bet me asoma emeba wey enu kan wa be gina wo so abobo ye ni atrewa say bra ye be ma say ye be ma ska nu kan esu bia na wa so hwe wadwuma no so a wutumi ye we follow into that trap.
President Pacho, you know, so say, and Ghanaian bank, a bit me a quack of Mabawa, Yasuma Womuma, Fefe, no, but no, but near Chicho, Sabra Beji loan.
On the other hand, but they are trap on that, but they are and your intention, no, the American party say, banks now are very overly aggressive. As it's a woman who said, "What would you make personal? One more back trouble. Ama, Bia, wouldn't you loan grass here? The edge, Maudia, what start here and would well see can I hear Juma? It would this can open, Beji, who bet me the do flow, bet me the attract with them and no get home into the trappings from the bank, and one can so ever consume yen. And what you know, on the lack of monitoring and effective accounting from by the informal sector. The attitude of your workers, any hungry can come back to consumers. Also, at the first, to Kwanya, not a work yet. You meet me too for that. Work on a consume, we know Koyajman consume, no, now we are the year, one also itself. And then, yes, I put you in Kwanya demo. Well, yeah, was also copper, dear. Oh, work on a copper deal. Now, one over here, Juma Mount. Now, for walk up any day, and then he found walk up free. That's what the pay everywhere to memo. And that attitude, so the Ghanaian workers, and so be pretty by the new so Eba, ma, a Kaba, Emma, a Kamene, see the cow bank.
And then ordinary Ghanaian business entity, say a company, say Jadini, say be a good Nipao. A idea almost ubetimianya loan easily, Anna.
Yes. Only a loan there, in fact, some bank is to give out loans. You understand? And there's availability. The CIA can say, yeah, crown, banks and no be a dinkomo. Are available a huge sums of money. Yanoma are discussing even interest rates. You see, the say, you can say, more discussing with. But more due diligences. Namu who say individual near qualified to get it. Yam say, yeah, dear collateral near this movie. In this cannot be I'm telling you, because monies are not available for lending, no. Nipano on can of but I say, Uncle no. Wo kwa jeno, men got it economy no, and I'm a kwaje, Sika the Maboka. Only the Okasa won't mean convince you, because Adia bia wo be bia wo hwe wo no wa hoden environment na wo at that particular time no wo ye adwuma no say e conducive for you to take more or less and it is subjective until near ya can now some ya no ma ka ba be so subjective na say ni na ye wo discretion and your ability to do the necessary due diligences.
Kaminu we Dr. Joseph Kwekuoben, business executive and president of the Ghana Union Traders Association. Nemo Nana Kusi and what they was a Pobia Basi. I say, Ovada most Ghanaian businessmen do speculative business. They start enjoying their profits before the actual business takes off. Comment to you, Dr. Oben.
Yes. As you couldn't have said anything better. Nina Koba ebesi say amkonam ni yesuban ya attitude ya approach towards business. Into obu onma say first ya na ka say ye nuanmo kwafuo omo ye prepare no ngika no de ye prepare e dia increase omo capital ama omo capital. It is a wo ye adwuma no wo start ya me bia adwuma wakwaje adwuma fefe bi adwuma kwa nka na ho de nu say bia wo electricity will be more no what fine. At the air conditions we need ability to pay the light bill, no one can come. No, and you come out. It is said the altar, not the word as the creative you say first no boutique be and you always see more much the parents so a diabetic cranium and thought at the back. One problem pass yana amount for be in him. Adakabe yen kobob wesia enfan strategy adwuma wo bia anya saade ni bi da se bia wo be adwuma wonim wonyam build the nursery clientele eno ho ngeka wonim se de adwuma no kra no yere niam ye ton fast no ngeka na wakwaje bosia na de asatenti from the word go you are starting your business with negative capital because then interest will start burden up from the word go where you haven't even established. Into an also young for your mistake. Because any capital piano, any from beginning can determine the kind of work that you can do. For instance, we were 2,000 Ghana cedis. 2,000 no ebetimi atre adwuma ubetimi di 2,000 aye wo 10,000 10,000 no ebetimi atre adwuma ubetimi di 10,000 na ye ba so wo kobo busia se bi obi si o adwuma we ya see ya topper sika wom eno ngika ni obi pa no wo ka no ka ma ye de ne bia wo se ne wo kwaji busia no ngika no so mema amanfo enye say mistakes no
just the so interesting say responses are the man and more questions about but like me musa say or no kind of thieving but I rather want to use the other word piffering say one most I will know more adwuma no piffering see we are normally be and no kura womanka bookkeeping. How does it contribute to the successful business environment between the loan amount to be akwaji erubetu yaka?
Hey, eno dia eno na eku amanfo pa perfect no now am some medical account accounting ni monitoring here you make the account me start plan na eno no eku yen ba ma mencho me start adwuma experience am me nya me ya me nya free openi pa wo supermarket kese pa chain of supermarkets wo madamfo ena madam ni no edi nkomo sa na me ka say na say you will work as those nipa bebre rouse say dem amanfo ewia pa amanfo etimi wia me ka no papa no bufu yi em say na asa me bu na bam enti you too effort to try on me because of that
attitude excuse your French attitude
exactly it's because of this and Debia were the price now of factor 5 almost 5% purposely for preferring. Yes.
It is just at the end boy 10 cities now or the 5% of 10 cities account.
Well, the 5% based on the value of that item. So of course Tofibia and Memphis 2% and based on the value of the item no or what percentage what they also for preference. If you ya attitude no ya workers ya ni omo ye no ne ngika any there and no prior more contributing minimum bia what there almost 5 million pounds I say one family investor was no usro into UK bank bi and returns kata wonya no odidi and so let me be enyuma ewa ha but attitude no the moral fiber of society now, it seems, is broken and the trust is less. It's a juma emma the bebeni nano, a fancy free sa attitude. Ya pase juma bekomia, yanteke yam. That was our area.
Yeah, yanteke who was our area on na yenshe. Inti ya bet that was na yashe said no mabisi yakro. Na yesterday we good matete no ma so ne
no problem me say once no obi ntimi enkonya ye ni price control regime obi beka say obi ntini ne ma so dabi ba de na ye kan say once efimra something ye start kan say ye komu bu duties bu de no nge kan am say aban ebe so yasen etre ya na yampo de na de ne yehwehwe any the reduction of the duty rate itself but common external tariff by the ECOWAS communities in Intina as a buying fund is difficult say or better duty reduction no into what the nyansemu airport say benchmark values so I just say with transactional value what the bank and no nanka yes so amwe duty no wo chemu 50% na ansani ye tia duty no nti mfa say $20,000 na wo de ko fa ne ma na wo ba a buy discount to am about $10,000 na wo tuemu wo duty krono na so wo hwan ha nkata nti wo mo de card no ma ye no ye kwesi nkonya ye ne Ghana Revenue Authority esi nkonya share modalities no say ye commodity lines na dozen ye thousands of commodities nti ye share bia do mu focus for my implementation no mefa say afi de take off do akabebre akaka crabs so say ye finish with it no na Yeah, that's a 3 months on. No, and for Sudia Kaka Abano, your members no up transfer benefits no about 10% to 15% reduction of the goods. No, no plan on Tibet me. Dear, but on Emra and you say by you know, one will reduction by and near stockpile of goods. Adakabro there would come my Yasha man for wholesale. Wholesale, I can see it. Say, ya buy a TBB so near my was stock power 2 years. Now say, Yama price reduction and your 40 feet up container about Kupa, what they back home and then and the Swabano and I affect all the other goods. Me patch sort machine. And inti, a batana nessa would transfer now young Kuntani, Sabaya, Uncle Boka, and Uncle Lusu or capital. Inti, ya kasi so say, and Yamani be on Mukrana, a reduction, no arm Mukra, but reduction arm no so and benefit be maso. Because we shall not say on the exchange rate no cost look at that. And so of course no one who say get to told near maso because you will room to operate the 50% reduction into both a contain any price incrementer and ordinary no and a dibebano. And you really say a jadiforno jadiforno importers in it too say we you near manana any benefit be out being a biano. But ne pass it on to after doing all the necessary cuts, pass it on gains, farmer consumer, no. So I buying a yes and say no. A woman say no what dream home. So the larger picture, no, and he say and your mother farmer ordinary Ghanaian and your biaton. He say if such an amount muswa. There's a cluster. Yadi Emma Yang edited in so both a trust no is going into the Saudi said to so by your casi so say we only the enyan shit but the best determinant of pricing a competition out there. For competition now a wardrobe one it's a start that said you can't overprice yourself out of the market. It's a no competition there or one about the exchange rate no cost through there. Now say it means Jinano and yet with competition itself no. Now say here be one here be do bring your crown no they are saying your further reductions kata. If I try say asoma you can
Well, yeah. Dr. Joseph Kweku Obeng, business executive, president Ghana Union Traders. Yeah, there was say any area food out there, my right. Ubetimi was up here on
050-600-0909.
Nano, and a sika asem. Lumba ne kae. Ma minti emra.
Enyina skasem.
Edi aye skasem ti no. Ne nwumo di kan twa odi to dem emfie miensa. Abra na onye sika mfanye ho adwuma. Gwajo fosu awia me chiao. asem sikanti ana ye nyina ti wiase enso so nye sika nkwa na bem woni age African cream mackerel etimi ma woni age kwampi so se de me wofa ase okay Ada Roma sikanti ene yeti wiase anase African queen so timi ye neje
African queen so timi woni neje because African queen no se won ho a usika sem no enko yie kra na obetime de aduane papa because African queen no won ho a unse sika bebre enfa nkonko no aduane aduane kakra be wo de bo ampesie eno anse obetwi o meko shira wa keke African queen wo ho a unsuro bibia ebe ma ntosi stew na wo ho no ebe ma o meko na ayede edu wa fa ebo apa
na Mr. Q any kunu Mr. Q any honchon capsules mema
yes we dey no and bibia mema stress e dey na dey bia na yutufu stress e dey nya de papa
na no me da na oko Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology na the Great Hall na enipa makoma nso na Ukrainian University ekobo wo mabaso na among the 7 ekobo wo mabaso no nana masa wanya ko usu a we VIP director obabesia na ono yebo na baso ba ne doctorate nana kwadwo jesi ko ba sempremo ono so ayon rosu ada Roma ono so yebo na baso ansa na me bra Kibedu agrochemicals agri na ohun ayefe papa na wo hwe se Dr. Sekwame Despa ene Dr. Furisapon omu nyina bija na East Legon Executive Men's Club omu nyina ebaaye ebebeja Kibedu na wahunu se Kibedu agro papa na enu achire no na Boshe Prayer Ministry da Bismarck ono so yebo na baso na Frank J ono so Lutu receivers ono so ene de Lutu adwuma ne de nyina kodi nsem National Lottery da baby na chese ko eje ono so abedi nsem na be ma ba ko a yebo na baso ma ne doctorate chese maba wankuma be sasa bia mo penso ye di na chi be 100 na ba Dr. Nyakote Obu na oye prostate specialist na we na chese yebo na baso ma ne doctorate no na maba we chese abrofu kasa yizi na meba wan so man fans wo great war to ho great war no so na nkuma bio obema otadua mu aje kama obema omo sare mra ne doctor otadua mu be ye kama aveda daf of say I said Dr. Nyagote Obu chese we prostate specialist and nti ema ba wa no eti prostate de hu hia honchon capsules so na di zu prostate
no ana wo de be ema ba we omo kan nyina na experience asem no omo kan no experience ozi nguma
sa
some to say member yeah sa experience asem no omo kan no
sa
experience and yes doctor no obi anim say o prostate specialist nti na mo nim say otimi ya ma ne ya adwuma na di ka we dey kwakosi fitting shop we ya do see fitting shop na we won ko tu ka na we fit no ya de pa
enti and benefit the doctor won some nyina just about 10-15 minutes na yene trees minister Alan John Kwaju Chrematini be din komo but before then in May 24 1963 and Papa Kwame Nkrumah in Addis Ababa a Organization of African Unity womo shas ye na okasai 1963 no Addis Ababa 1965 2 years later no mo de ba Ghana no and was how prumukra na the first inaugural speech Kwame Nkrumah ye May 24 1963 abra OAU ye ewo Addis Ababa mientie ansa na Trace Minister no waba
okay.
What are we waiting for? What are we looking for? Are we looking for mere charters conceived in the light of the United Nations example? A type of United Nations organization whose decisions are framed on the basis of resolutions that in our experience have sometimes been ignored by member states, where groupings are formed and pressure developed in accordance with the interests of the groups concerned. Or is it intended that Africa should be turned into a loose organization of states on the model of the organization of the American states, in which the weaker states within it can be at the mercy of the stronger or more powerful ones, politically and economically, and all at the mercy of some powerful outside nation or group of nations? Your Excellencies, is this the kind of association we want for ourselves? In the United Africa we all speak of with such feeling and emotion? Your Excellencies, permit me to ask, is this the kind of framework we desire for a united Africa? An arrangement which in future would permit Ghana or Nigeria or the Sudan or Liberia or Egypt or Ethiopia, for example, to use pressure with either superior economic or political influence gives to decide the flow and direction of trade, say from Burundi or Togo or Nyasaland to Mozambique and Madagascar. We all want a united Africa. United not only in our concept of what unity connotes, but united in our common desire to move forward together in dealing with all the problems that can best be solved only on a continental basis. Sir, when the first Congress of the United States met many years ago at Philadelphia, one of the delegates sounded the first chord of unity by declaring that they had met in a state of nature. In other words, they were not in Philadelphia as Virginians or Pennsylvanians, but simply as Americans. This reference to themselves as Americans was in those days a new and strange experience. But may I dare to assert, equally on this occasion, Your Excellencies, that we meet here today not as Ghanaians, Guineans, Egyptians, Algerians, Moroccans, Malians, Liberians, Congolese, or Nigerians, but as Africans. Africans united in our resolve to remain here until we have agreed on the basic principles of a new compact of unity among ourselves, which guarantees for us and our future a new arrangement for continental government. If we succeed in establishing a new set of principles as the basis of a new charter or statute for the establishment of a continental unit of Africa and the creation of social and political progress for our people, then, in my view, this conference should mark the end of our various groupings and regional blocs. But if we fail and let this grand and historic opportunity slip by, then we shall give way to greater dissension and division among us, for which the people, the masses of the people of Africa, will never forgive us. And the popular and progressive forces and movements within Africa will condemn us, surely. I'm sure, therefore, that we shall not fail them. Your Excellencies, I have spoken at length because it is necessary for us all to explain not only to one another present here, but also to our people who have instructed us the fate and destiny of the African continent. We must therefore not leave this place until we have set up an effective machinery for achieving African unity. To this end, I now propose for your consideration the following. As a step, Your Excellencies, a declaration of principles uniting and binding us together, and to which we must all faithfully and loyally adhere, and laying the foundation of unity should be set down. And there should also be a formal declaration that all the independent African states here and now agree to the establishment of a Union of African States. A second, an urgent step for the realization of the unification of Africa. An All-Africa Committee of Foreign Ministers be set up now, and that before we rise from this conference, a date should be fixed for them to meet. This committee should establish, on behalf of the heads of our governments, a permanent body of officials and experts to work out a machinery for the Union Government of Africa. This body of officials and experts should be made up of one or two of the best brains from each of the independent African states. The various charters of the adjacent groupings and other relevant documents could also be submitted to this official expert, working under the hegemony of a committee of the foreign ministers. And a presidium consisting of the heads of government of the independent African states should be called upon to meet and adopt a constitution and other recommendations which will launch the government of Africa. We must also decide on a location where this body of officials and experts will work as the new headquarters or capital of our union government. Some central place in Africa might be the first suggestion. From my view, either at Bangui in the Central African Republic or in Leopoldville in the Congo. All the officials that will go there, and we shall support their work. My colleagues will hope for them. Otherwise, when we become independent, why are they going? We shall live here, having laid the foundation of our unity. Your Excellencies, nothing could be more fitting than that the unification of Africa should be born on the soil of a state which stood for centuries as a symbol of African independence. Let us return to our people of Africa, not with empty hands and high-sounding resolutions, but with the firm hope and assurance that at long last, African unity has become a reality.
NIT 100.9 FM. This Saturday say na yanya hoboa na May 24 1963 na Kwame Nkrumah oka efa African unity eka trade liberalization nti yenkwe na yenkwe ya hoboa na yenhwe sede yen soso no yebeto yi no de yaye na ehunu ye ho ano bia yede ebekro igusu netie NIT 100.9 FM.
Needs FM.
Efiura, me mwachi o Efiura. Yes on.
Machi o Efiura. Efiura me chia wonye so.
Hey, Eura, enfase ma msu. Wati? E ba force search ya me. Mo yem no.
Won so pepe.
Hey, oh, wa fi, we die me pese oni Efiura bekon. Efiura we die ye kwa sori abo. Eura de. Mo kwa sori. Ye pompa ye. Eura de kasoro ho a. Wati? E be se wo ba hwa wa kraba kumpo wunya. Onipa da sane timi koto this way chocolate drink no ne yire ne mma edi nsuo hia twabia nom anopa no wi a wasade bia hye fridge mu wo mako school pon a wasan ba be yia nom enu mpore se ne nka ne twaso mu pa ende ye rekore ne fie wura beti ha anopa dio awia dio enumre dia mo no makodeo mo mame na mu wi a ma soro akotra so ndem se ye kosum na
Me say na dia ya late so me yanki kabinche fiera ya wi ya kwasra ba fate ke fiera wuti fia say light be no water be ba wuntua bi wo bo sa sika na fa koto this way chocolate drink na ba nom
ka hwe me catch you pray fa say this way chocolate drink no metumi ato bi pa na so na me so mo ahwe wate e de me hia ne nsuohie na nsuohie so me ntoi say me bufu a betumi ato bag mu a wate
fiera we nkwa de ma abunfu e koto mi
fiera fi de ya bre ma abunfu bi
munyam sumponie na mo ba ya trimodefo
FDA ahwe say adwede nkrato mu agye atum say eye
yamanu ejaba boni di adwo ama wubi eti yamanu afa hin na mahwie fufuo ti ase dada minya wofo yi papa so ba fie ni anwie fufuo ya asam aba na so oben wadi fufuo edi mpreni ne mpresa da kro ba ye de ni ahwie fufuo a akode wo nwane
adwo mo adwuma se me ne fie adwuma de mini fufuo kakra ba o madie no eno to me twama da pasa aso wo kan na matire nyira
wati ate na make am meboa
ebo de odi komum na sese ade obra to otwa fufuo ai wo wodwo mo pam na wo ma siu na wo timu aba na wo sadade na wo timfra akode ne nyina to otwa make say ya need food sadaroma wo bia mani ye pa ya wa ya mbode fufuo ne mankani fufuo a wa ne powder wo de gu da kam kama ya fra no need fufuo
enya no bi na masori ba ntilizi kama me di yeyo
sese bia
ma me hwe bia need fufuo enya kama say bode fufuo ne mankan fufuo papa bi na wo ka say twan eposim na ede na me se wo ka so ento simanu pe no wawie no ahie wo kwa papa bi aguso
be chese de ama mani kura agisa need fufuo a ma ko tobi kura ba ne se de Ghana fo sipom fufuo no eno an wo ye nu enti se wo hwa fufuo won pam wodrom ne we nu a wo ho susuna bia wom wo nso de bode ne mankan fufuo papa bi
ejanie eni afi na fufuo na afi na wo bedi pa ne se de wo bedi ne se ne wo fa mojaduro ana pawia ne anadwo a wo koda
need fufuo supermarket bia mu
need fufuo e wo wufi a eni gyenko a
FDA ahwe say adwede nkrato mu agye atum say eye
Utie oha extra ponkno. Needs FM.
Needs 100.9 FM so any. Na ene Wednesday, July 17, 2019, and the time just about gone 3 p.m. Na yene Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry Ura Alan John Kwaju Trematine won komo kakra nanu African Free Trade area just ho emfasodia ewo ho na heads of states ni nyina agitu mu se Ghana na secretariat no e be see benefits no but major shene so key milestones ye de aduru ba bia ye duru sisi ya na no niame o makoye no January 2012 and AU summit decision on the establishment of the African Free Trade area into EU summit no January 2012 no then in March 2015 and launch African Free Trade area negotiation no then March 21 2018 and signing Africa Free Trade area framework agreement with protocols and annexes. Then May 30 2019 and coming into force of the African Free Trade area and no July 7 2019 and launching the operational phase of the African Free Trade area. So no it's operational phase no July 7 and launch here into what the operational phase no means to us no yabeba na yababe didi ho enkomo na normal ye hye so no say African Free Trade area no or say the African Continental Free Trade Area AFCFTA and Ghana's selection as the host country for the AFCFTA and honsam and you know I was see timi hwe say African Continental Free Trade Area no what is it so there ba dia I was see timi hwe sa ade no na fe ye hwe say strategic objectives no any benefits no a woman what are the strategic objectives and the benefits and so at saying ni nyina so ya de ya hobo a ye penchire mu nti eno akire no ye bekwa akohwe components of the AFCFTA no ye behwe sa components na ewo mu no na fe ya hwe protocol on the goods component protocol on trade in goods ni ya hwe protocol trade in goods no akire ne ye beba behwe trading services so na additional protocols no so e be negotiate under phase 2 no so yahwe operational phase of the AFCFTA no na yahwe de womo aye operational phase yi na yedru ho aye setting up of the secretariat so hono ho sensem ebeba benefits no enyina na ye harness the benefits no. And what is Ghana already doing? You bet me there, Hannah. Say, yes, our benefits in ebeba. And then, yes, our question, institutional supporter, Ghana, so edema, Nina ebeba. Now, Ubesha say, Ghana, the contribution to the development of the AFCFTA, no. So, the initial decision to establish Continental Free Trade Area, no, it was taken by the Trade Ministerial meeting in Ghana, chaired by Ghana in 2011. And then 18th annual summit of the heads of state, January 2012, and America, Omudi Hojuma, and Ghana a central role in the actual negotiations between 2015 and 2018, making substantive contributions. Ghana was one of the first countries signed FTA agreement, and was the first to ratify same under the leadership of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Eti we munyina no I was say yetimi kɔ na yekokodi nkomo na yekɔ the Trade Ministry, Trade and Industry Ministry. Na yene the Honorable Minister or hɔ no no Ura Alan John Kwajo Chematene ekɔkɔ twetwe nkomo kakra. Chief Alan yamwa ha.
Yo, mejo so na design.
Obadi adaruma yetiaso. Na ministry so any allied agencies she was nyina no ma ekosan.
Oh, bibi akoye. Nyame adaruma. Bibi aye.
Oye. And now na yenya opportunity it me congratulate His Excellency President of the Republic Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Say udi kan ehwema Ghana yen it me signing onto the AFCFTA na fi so hwe eme sign ratify it. Congratulations in place also so high there.
Yo me medawase
you na sa African Continental Free Trade Area you know dia ba dia
yo menya adakabre ma menyina sa akwanya zuna minchia wa nkasa yakasa ya che ene wachiefu nyina one say Africa your problem ba ku pa ye wom ani say se wo hwe nkro na e wa Africa na nyina akoye nkro nkiti bebre ni akabo se wo yi Nigeria na dia wo yi Ethiopia any one or two countries bia one population is one dia kan nyina lutu say nkro kutwa bebre ana jese ye chiche ye mu a ena ama Africa yentimanya ba ko a yakoye different states ye 55 states no enti enso ya chiche mu sa no ntino ye market wa wo obia no aman mu no na se wo dis market no adwumadi ye market no esa enti that's kasia pani adisuade mu a edikamfo no na edawo mani so a edawo makoma so fiti kwame nkoma bre he salasi me bre no eni say that chibi enka yenyina betima ka bom se yentimi nka bom politically mpa economically no ejesi yenta ehun bom se die betimi di ehun twa ebisa esi apana nyina ohwe nkokura ompa etintimu a omo etimi akọ manima womu nyina no omakeka mu abom ewo beebi omo no region nyina omakeka mu abom ati omu diga among themselves eno na eboa mo emo ko ani enti Africa atla wa yetim enka yehumbom na yachichire mu no ana empanifo yi eka se debi afedi omu si omu go se tanka bom na yehwehwe no abema Africa aye one market no say baso na say kasa umwasemi from 1991 ampanifo yi edisa adwene no ebaye yentimi anya ani yakoya free nwa 2012 ana afei mpanifo no si pise afei de womo aye ready a yepese tanka bom eba na no na yakwa ba
Nyaminta Kigali, Rwanda, March 2018. I say 54 countries are Africa out of 55. No? Say one more 54 countries. I say one more sign agreement there. One more say one more percent, one more eka, one more markets. No, yachichemu. I say one more kabum. Say the beya. Say more Ghana. Now me producer. Me come in normal. Me the free Ghana. Me at home normal work everywhere in Africa. Say obia issue kwai. Na eno any dashun afei abemwa. Say ama say usha. And one of the most important development in Africa. If it is yeah, African Union, yeah, first year friend, you know. And then idea can the fapping back. They talk some years soon say, yo, Yatia, much more person kabum. Now say Mugana, Ayakasi, Ubia, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan, Afe Yaka market na boom. Now what kabum and crack anything. When we say you can't boom me, now you say yeah, nipa 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion, you can't one boom me. Now you say I have one market of 1.2 billion. So we shall now say we China, now we India. Now you say I say Africa as one country. Now you say you do so far. Into a market of 1.2 billion, no, I must come one boom there. Then that is a significant market. What baby shall say, who can go to proceed? Now, the Kubiwa, Nanunti, Aman Komono, Aya Denise. You say, who digga Africana, Apo Nigeria, Nako, Angola. Your friend is duty, not a two no man. They say duty be any of you. They say once again, who can normal free South Africa bar? Duty that's all. And the answer na normal babedru Ghana no. Na say ne buono e kosro. If it's a duty ni ye charge you mo duty. Na say say nkabom ye dia be. Ye say enye nkabom no keke na aba. Ye say you duty a free bipia ube free Africa dia no duty. And after quarter dia ni was dia want to make us me the way would the bear for containers and a bit aba. There's a quantity of our person will turn a call a idea ultimate call. After she can charge you duty. And to that, okay, one. Now, said, no one, ye classic Africa. A better young man. There's a new better from said the Bayer. You bet me a compete against Oma a free other countries that any African. It's normal, you know. Number one, you're increasing the size of the market, you know. If they are carbon 1.2 billion people. Now, and what is duty free? And today I say, duty. I will normally be a overcra every Africa. And only Adiana Yefreno, continental free trade area. A market which is the largest market in the world. They say, in Kabona, Yetimi Amana Edimono, they say we become the largest free trade area in the whole world. So we WTO everywhere. And to me, idea some popa and yet me actually ama Africa. And no pay idea na friend continental free trade. Now, once I will grow, now we break a crash. African continental free trade area. Now, pay ne Canada into Payan your friend CFTA. Because the CFTA. There is a continental free trade area.
Okay. CFTA. Right. Enti say yetie odia na Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry Ura Alankojo Chairman adimu na SSA na head of say ye no be di nkomo yi no the voice of the first president of Ghana Dr. Kwame Nkrumah May 24 1963 na oka say African unity any African trade yebitimi edi ayedwuma. Now we are told to say sa CFTA no significant development in Africa so that we can since the establishment of the OAU in 1963. Now, no, most are considered and say a flagship project under AU Agenda 2063. Tell us more about that.
Okay. I just want to say Africa, you can't say Organization of African Unity, OAU. Any, say, Abedane African Union, AU. I just say, you say, a group of Quamoa. Who to be who say, a be soon yet. If 1963, OAU, shall say, Senka, Bedia, Nanka, Senka, Africa, him a chain, a idea way. If you are Africa, we control almost all the strategic mineral resources. Minerals, a papa, a wood, a gold, platinum, a uranium, diamonds, in Africa. We control over 1/5 of all arable land in the whole world. Yeah, well, the most extensive water body. We should ensure that Africa, you will show change a year. Now, you was a body in your natural. I quite say Africa, Yentim Queen. Now, we share a radio and other share television. So, the year you show Africa, I say, come on, and I quite say poverty in the midst of prosperity. Now, I quite say a paradox to be. Now, I know that African Union, but the pastors are doing that. By now, because Africa is not quite a new chest. You shall see from 1960s. Now, say, no, you the Butai and the Sadian movie at 3 and him, and no agenda 2063. Time one year and then say, or my say, 50 years from that time, one more agenda 2063. Almost say Africa, a prosperous continent. Africa is a pager, not a dear my main and only agenda 2063. Now, agenda 2063 by now, young person, but not quite said, young Jimmy Pager and Hono. And almost this idea, young programs are, you bet me Africa, yet this one, a Bema Sarah agenda 2063. No, I had a Edimu. Now, programmer, I say so far, just somewhere, at me, the fund is another leading to the prosperity of Africa in 2063. And no, the first one is Mupano, any star TFT, and only agenda 2063 or Mukam Assembly.
Yet, Africa and Ghana in particular, they should say a better terms of trade for African countries. They should share a lower prices at the market. They should share employment opportunities. Into say CFTA, you know. Compare so and a bit me, improvement in terms of trade for African countries. Lower prices and also employment opportunities.
Okay. That one will say, baby shall say, now, CFTA, more young day, Africa for 1 year, we are doing. Dear Pana, Sabi, and won't benefit in Pastor Ben Pan at the Bremo Africa. A Rubina Wadika, dear Dickin. One will say, American. Say who bigger marketer and one casano ebwa ama obia who produce the African. Say you can now sell your goods to a bigger market. Now say who bigger marketer who turn no mana kona and my was so idea of economist of scale no. I get a work as put me increase production because when you say we increase production who marketer who say which media corner is a bigger market. And the way they are, who double production, wait now for double production, now only marketer, then I could see consumer quantia. And the kind part value at the end of the day, we can now sell to a bigger market. Now, by selling to a bigger market, and also FYA, it expanding your production. That's also the answer to what we say. One of the problems that the world African is there. Obia. Yeah, natural, Namia Botena, you want to. Yeah, I value, yeah, I know say, yeah, they go. Say, go there. Yeah, I value near the court, no, be a the value. No one could have for sure. Say, coffee, or say, tea, or say, cocoa, I can cry. Say, chocolate to cry, can be a seat me or what we say, yeah, the cocoa, no, or my chocolate. I didn't also the value of cocoa, no, final product. And almost say, no, yet me added value, no. And I'm Africa, so yet me query. Now we are abbey. I bet me Abuama Africa countries, I say yes, me add value to our natural resources. If you say, who Ghana, okay, you see, you be fine. We need Ivory Coast to me Edgar. Now, on no Sukobi, and you cook now, and so would add value. Now, would me to be here, what value to Ivory Coast? Said the Bayer, Kenya, so Uncle Tom coffee and Koma Ethiopia. If someone you are trading in the same commodity. And the way the value addition of wine, let us be also say, you will be a fellow regional value chain, Minchurch Mukakra. One says they say Dangote, what me edit cement about Ghana, Eba, Ebeton. Now, say, no, what you pano, a peja on one edge man, if he said, well, market to Ghana, what you edit back. And she said, well, no, Ebeton is cement to her. Not a Ghana, yea, ye per se, boy, and one. The best man she said, yeah, okay, who do cement bar? Cement bar, you know, your bear or Ghana. Said the bear, yes, so no, you bet me the dear flu. Now, yet me, Abuama mouth to when you're sick. Who do cement in about? Yes, your bear back. Says, yeah, your bear, a automobile assembly, a bear car or Ghana. Cha regional value chain, you can want them. A dear, Liberia say, oh, rubber bar. If you make market, would Africa, yeah, yet me a can. And so your rubber pipe, yeah, you bear ties and go. Now, more Ghana for Muslim Bear Assembly. Yea, ties are moving here for Mukasning, you bear crafty Liberia. If you he talk of what I say, yeah, you bet my fertilizer, if you see our phosphate. Into almost so, yeah, near the, or you better 12 more, near the UBD, and they come another country. Then say, yeah, what you and now says you say, ya can't boom. Another one, so said in the kind, and he said, say, no, it is going to be the most important stimulus for foreign investment. Me check your mukakra. They say African market, we have seen market and independent so far in Africa. If you say that your work space, you have to near the developing. Other countries, mean UK, France, Germany, our market now is tight. I have the market name more be, I said, we are the PGB Accra. And when they say, no, that Obi the investor or outsider. Obama say, they say, market now may come normal corner, African. Shall me to me at the factory, you see Ghana. May to me up produce Ghana and sell to the whole of Africa from Ghana. If it's a new duty, duty in the normal also. And tonight, we are better off, we are investor, we are better off to say, we do factory about see an African country. Say the bear will be duty free.
Has a clerk a crass if I'm a trace minister? Nature say, in effect, and yes, indigenous Africans and now setting up homo factories are producing indigenous African products. But then a year will be in the global market, a bit me free Asia and answer North America. Ababesi factory, Africa has a trade amongst African countries for free as you envisage here. I'm Sadabre Yelusu Ura Alan Kwejo Trematin.
Producers, you can benefit more. If you say, who am Pabua will come out here? Say, first, if you are now struggle, say, Ubeton, Norman Guao, Accra, and I would call a Kofodia Cotton. Say, young boy, no, you're in Pabuano. Or Tom in Pabuana, you do be a prime what they call Angola, South Africa, Egypt, but here, Ecoton, San Romano. And foreign investors in Gua, with foreign investors in there, Omupodia, and a chain or Omubebem. Now, a year African producers, a year Ghanaian manufacturers, small and medium enterprises, I can see a woman. If you say, I have the final, I ain't trade duty where no man is. The benefit I am more to indigenous African companies first. And China, foreign investors, so, and for sure.
Honorable Minister, me pachopi, mame realign me when I mean sa emfre ubium. Na em said dear flow in the next 2 seconds here. Yane a trees minister, Alan Kojuche Martini, and a Edin Komo. Marjorie.
Robert.
Chese South Africa for Noma. Ebeba Ghana has the same. Ghana for Noma.
Ebeko.
It is Ghanaian manufacturers. Am I ready to take it up?
When you're ready now, there. Are you ready?
And it is a bigger market.
You're ready. Because bigger market in the bar is a big opportunity.
Right. Yama trade and industry minister Ura Alan Kojucha Martini entimin to asamaka. Yadwa as minister say yensa assign to me account na once my work and the mood to ye dear person yeto near person will sign every phrasing. How does the say Obekan say opportunities for Africans and a globe Africa economies into the global market no sa integration and now watch the kwania will be betimi a free outside of Africa as factory of Africa as foreign direct investment na young Africans no ya benefit. Tell us more about that.
Yo, now me can say benefits ye kan ho asem no. The dikan beba no for African manufacturers. Now African manufacturers benefit ye kan wo mo ni say say nam say your market no ya kan boom no aye bigger market nti no say obi wo Ghana ana obi wo Togo ana Cote d'Ivoire na say no so a small company or so a big company no or no ewo opportunity say beton normal throughout the whole of Africa and so there no that benefit is coming to African producers. Now me can be also say apart from benefit African producers no should be for foreign investors no so now me can be say one will say African market and the find that market what we are seeing what I time and to find now Africa they find that there's a market no ever and she say no the foreign investor or no not what target African market it is so be produce normal Italy now over turn Africa say and that say yeah duty a free yeah normal so no say at the end of Africa now say no or you better off say or then the fact in see Ghana and now Cote d'Ivoire now what producing now is what from normal other country now duty free and don't Adama investors and near Africa so more and the country who bet me as show no you know you can attract a lot of investors if you say one other phone say they say we'll be located in the factory no country no you can reach the whole of Africa from a single location in Ghana duty free now and not so why if you say at the Aduma Beba and when we say the foreign investor no didn't think about it and so over factory no at the Aduma Beba over tax Ghana they moment no man no outside that I just say and no duty any so in Tababua African producers, Tababua Ghanaian producers. Now I'm faced with some foreign investors. I want to be changed to Mukakra. Then what say no so once a beginning now we can rough can terms of trade. One will say and now we say Africa, ye ton ye normal ye added value with the cocoa, with the gold, what you say, won't add value there. And the value now a dasono. It's a no one say the other pay you add the value no to our natural resources no. A bit the value from trade no akosro. If you say you add the value, so we ton cocoa the obenya free no only a small percentage of the chocolate and value ubenya and only terms of trade na work no. And then what is so no say Kenya would the producer what adaka baby I would say would manufacturer producer obi said I also some for so ben na obenya free that in kaboma obenya for so pa ebi say normal ye no Africa nyina eba Ghana no yen for duty to so which means prices now that normal so you produce in Africa no very lower and it's a ukra BB UK now tax was about 65%. So the same product, say yeah, no South Africa now craba. UK no attract 65% duty. Who product the free South African and duty free.
Okay, to minister, my mini me say na me hwe say yen so yebete ase anti yemfa enipa mienu baako aye the ultimate consumer no a wo Africa ha say na wo Ghana ha say ene baako so aye investor owo aye enough resources obetimi set up a manufacturing plant as it is no nipa ne bebre gidi say African companies because ye ni sika no enough though ye wo nipa no de ye were consuming power no there but you need sika ye dey manufacture no man say foreign entities be invest Africa na womo atimi abe produce wa ha say na within Africa no womo ntua duties na yen so no ye cheaper prices. Is it the case say African businesses and na ebe go in favor of foreign businesses ana
ye wo kan no men cheche mu kakra como people in kakra ube say opportunity na aba no eno na ese ema yen ya ye wa aban mu no yen hu say this is the time to help our producers said the beya one mum na be take advantage no first if you just said the work can ye be kwan ama so obi ye mpaboa ana say bi obi ye the employer mentioned obi a furniture and position. If you are not obi to Zimbabwe, furniture you on Ghana has it. If you are not far better than the ultra free if you are Malaysia. So it is a program of manufacturers. Not one say I want me export more. Obey me produce no export because we export and I'm saying duty, emphasis duty into something, or no advantage than Obia, or no aircraft normal free. And you did Komoka, a quantum carbon say, yea, government, CFTA in by crown. You know my year bomb with the right, I should say, make my show one by one. A choir, a first squad, a Ghana producers, ama oma take advantage.
Okay, and then you be see from Ababe draw, but at present no object here would ya true yenimu no yenhwe kwani a Africa you betimi afa so finance the benefit of CFTA. So no na fe yemfamra Ghana, what is Ghana already doing ye dey harness the benefits here ye ka ho asemi
yo one of the other benefits adakabe ehunu say when ebeboa ama adwuma aba ebi say increase your production because they say when you bigger marketer na they say put me for normal no put me for nipa bebre and employment creation a major part of it na unsa na unka bibi say na dey ana ye and na say bi aban betumi aye betumi aboa ama Ghanaian producers so ometimi enya benefit through. So usha ye won no enso heads of state wamaka say Africa ekrobia no onfa na ni nkyere sa no ma ensoin na say oye dwuma eno na bema watimi enya CFTA mu benefit omama esa akwankyere no de di kan o say Africa country biano, Bomodia industrializing. As I said, enhance your capacity for industrialization. The first nana won't take industry serious. Say, one advice on their mind is put industrialization first as a country. And it's also Ghana. So, my friend say advice here, for their mind. Yeah, industrialization, with or without CFTA, said Adakabe well. Number one district, one factory initiative. Now I say, yeah, Kasano, the chance that yeah, Baba, you want that. Said you bet me, I produce you. Now, the way your government they produce you, I buy a private sector. I'm almost factories all over the country. Said you the products from this one district, one factory, edi dubona betimi akọ to other African countries. Now we need program be out the producer. A better than what my cotton woman. Don't say yet you'll be there. Yes, I said that. 1 district, 1 factory. They talk to me, you know. Once you visit a friend industrial park. So we call Asia ne my maya or more call many minana. It's a fay na we compare assassin. I could you factory no. One more create a baby. I tell you the Kanya call, you the show call. Yedi a quite call. What the army says, so a producer, Uber, let's say Yamawa Sasi, and only industrial park. And also, from say a shot here, the private sector for, every region, bomb said, you bet me, I'm a businessman, or make me a creative one industrial park. Tell the bayer, will be a person with industry, no, brown, not when you're baby, anyway, and one change so. Minim just what here. They say, BBI, acquired to say, new industries are, your person diversify, and now you be a economy. First, cocoa penna, you can't want them, and I be a go. They see, I make say, want to see a car vehicle assembly. You can't aluminium, integrated aluminium bauxite. You can't iron and steel. You can't garments and textiles. You can't industrial salt. You can't industrial starch. And this one will say, some man a new strategic industries now. Yenya kasiti kan ya adwene ho say. Yet means na cocoa ho ko say eno na betina boa Ghana. And the emphasis on industries yemra aluminium see ayeken. Say we na ye peja. We can sell our aluminium products throughout the whole of Africa. You still now, industrial starch you are making. I just said, to me, no more degree. And no, she bet me. And I want to see one factory. There was new strategic industries. You have a day. And I say, they say, you were a small and medium enterprises. So, no more degree. I say, you go a day. And so far, cluster 1, a year industrialization. He has of states, 3 or 4 say, country be industrializing already. No, just a while, like a bear, the starting bomb with the watch. You talk to me, no, see, young mama, the young word you man, and your friend with trade facilitation. Said the Bayer, said it, the wood you okra no ma, not would they fat through porter, umbre. Now, a face so put the normal every one country quite the other, and the sombre, and also so Unima, who can say, normal, or port, paperless, system here, dear by any new one single window, once a year, advisor, Pedifodia May, the kind of father that without the CFTA, on the introduce to normal for about. Port any customs were a be improved. I never could saw one can a tree of home for say or mind the infrastructure. If so, take advantage CFTA. Yes, your dear point, which we talk normal call Angola, South Africa. Now, if I know the better, so I found a former, it's all different zoo. Now, then I will hear about your port, and then I will hear about Ukraine, and then I will hear about railway. Also, no say no infrastructure, and also almost telephone, you see kind of that. Well, on support today, you see new terminal, $1.5 billion. I can say, you just terminal 3 say, is the largest port in Africa, make us say. And you say, a better you Africa, you turn your normal car. Not say, from never a chase here, never first shows. Already, our port is the first class port. About roads as well, they say, one say, you word one. You improve your network from Ghana to other neighboring countries. Railways. So, you bet cannot cry. That is the first time I said, what you say, a baby, a car, railway, one something, say, you if you say, Central Spine, you say, yeah, they could see Pagay. Here, yeah, could see Paga, for Burkina Faso, ever to also another country. And you know, it's infrastructure. In Pediphone tree and home for say, young word man already, and also airport. Oh, no be an a din no befa from a bit befa post so be so befa a plane now we share airport here already quite a first one you buy and this for the shots here you buy a so you bet was so a pay it is the you talk of the town in Africa they say infrastructure say usha necessary so you do one access to finance Nina ka akutua mpanyinfo no de aman ho sɛ wopɛ sɛ CFTA wonya ho mfaso a na ntina ho fa ho san hyɛ wo dem refam pagya ho yɛ biribi nneɛma a wɔn ka nyinaa access to finance say ɛno nso so gye dodoɔ no ani wɔ Ghana no yɛasate ɛboaboa ɛho a yɛde boa ayi yɛ stimulus package a ne ameme ne si yɛde boa ayi companies a wɔn ani gyina pa yɛde boa wɔn Exim Bank, Yasha Exim Bank, I say, and also no, we can do more, but at least Yasha say, and also, yeah, banking reforms here, banking sector, it is to provide the right environment, to provide financing. Say the bear, one say, and they can't, you not the case, I seem to say. CFTA in by Ukraine. Yeah, because I have boy and who that programs here make in the 7 areas, 7 clusters here. Heads of states in the car say, Obia and 2 and 1 among not yet BB and Sana, what you mean, CFTA room for some. Already said the making Camera, Cametro, 7 clusters, no, the dear, yeah, who are many.
But me share, Yane Ura Alan Trematin or ye Minister for Trade and Industry and Nutrition Como and they know Yakwakunya Continental Free Trade Area a secretariat no kra eba Ghana hasi now watch there what it entails and a home fasudia ebeba ede ama omaima ti yenhwe operational stage in key milestone no akowie say ye drew operational stage na people say e de ne ba yenti a empanifo gi tum mu say wɔn de secretariat no ebaba Ghana
mini ada kabe no mansia ana gyina so a yɛde campaign Africa wonyina gi tum mu say yes say the headquarters no ba Ghana de di kan one say ye can African unity and the integration of Africa Ghana yɛdi mu akoten pa one said right from the beginning, after independence, you can say the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of the continent. And today I said, you took the one for the benefit of Africa. Now, you shall say, you know, home for so be other. Now, and then about that, you see, you have political unity, integration. Now about economic integration. Now say you baby at the headquarters now. Now if I say Ghana for the first time we must be recognized. Now you to me at the headquarters now. Ever have. The tosum you know so. CFTA and Abba and then Ubia near dia walking. You shall see the first in command. Ye beti was CFTA who said the person ye bibi sana. The first meeting, you share you can't want them. It was held in Ghana, September 2011. Anna, trade ministers, Omushia, and Omuka said, Star Continental CFTA, and Mirasu said, Hannah and Common Yashas here. Now, no shas here except for heads of states in the home. And ye peta and Common echo through heads of states in the home. And no January 2012. You go to heads of states in anymore. A head of state to be a move motion. I can say a fay ya princess Mredu says a can go. And no certain Mampany president and now honor a year Professor Jonathan Mills or no other a table motion for the establishment of the CFTA in 2012 January or Addis Ababa. And what so about almost 2 months, I said, CFTA. Now, I can say, negotiation. Yes, 1% will come boom. But then, you know, so saying, internet, negotiation. From 2012, 2018, waiting I say the two Ghana has played a leading role in the negotiations. And you appear the peer become once in the ano. They say Ghana, we are the forefront. And what you cry in Pedifoi, a share ye negotiate ye share say a failure, ye negotiate one almost a pay almost sign agreement. Our president, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, was one of the first of state that would give me a story you can say Ghana is ready to sign. So he showed the way. Onyakukudro can say yes. Negotiate with Ghana, yeah, they are ready to sign. Or no take kind and start and if I do the brave one more you can't touch a penna a sign. And Ghana was one of the first, President Akufo-Addo, one of the first on no sign agreement. And no chair also, yes, we wait my agreement, but we saw the call parliament. Now, parliament, or much me ratify. Not as afraid, what she should say when you have CFT over account. And also, Ghana was the first country under the leadership of our president, Anna, or me, they didn't call parliament, Anna, they ratify. Now, a company said, yes, the headquarters. President Akufo-Addo was the first to offer. He said, you can't say agreement, you negotiate with a headquarters. Opejan is Ghana wants to offer to host the secretariat. Now, and on a more personal note to cry, why wouldn't you make us say you cry? You free a bam, you free a bam, UN a friend. Some member African Trade Policy Center. Member Buane Yanchichino. And the Ajuma design, for CFTA, good one, Namika, and Pedifua, the Chichri is now. Naminia Bemu, I was doing that on behalf of the UN Economic Commission for Africa. I just said, ye dear church, and she said, I come back and then I bring up a baby the headquarters now. Aquadia. Never say, Ghana. And the quiet a woman said, not 7 and the contest Ghana, Egypt, Senegal, Kenya, Madagascar, Eswatini, and Swaziland. There, 7. A group of now Egypt, any Senegal, any Ethiopia, almost withdraw in favor of Ghana. And a car, 4 of us. Now, the buyer just said it was beyond contest. Ghana won convincingly. Ubiaji Tumu, Yoko Niami, Ubiaji Tumu said Ghana deserves to become the secretary of the CFTA.
She said Ghana deserves to become the secretariat of the CFTA. Now, Busa say, where is going to be the secretariat? Na home faso dear bang and a beba ede ama Ghana. See be host to secretariat no ha. Yo,
na ensisha na dan ho AU for ede mai say obi a wo pese wo host to secretariat no. Ye wo normal bia e say wo ye. Na ansa na ya consider wo application. Say wo be to application. Wo to application ye be ma requirements no. Ba ko ni say ultimate offer office structure bia secretariat no. Omo eba beye adwuma wom ana ultimate ye no ma bia nyina no kire wo the capacity say obey headquarters no na president Akufo-Addo ama building foforo say building no na Exim Bank any Ghana Export Promotion for ewom no na next to British Council.
And that fair now, Mudi Junction.
No, they say, no, Anna, President Akufo-Addo, yes, say, or no, and then buying, build the offer for secretariat, you know, and no, first 4 floors, you know, and no, offer say, you bet me you sue for the secretariat, you know. Now, Exim Bank, nay, or my woman, so other floors, no matter. Now, Omuma, AU for the team be by. Say every country or no application would I also with the man then when you say down here now or mobile on who dino and say woman who said in fact Ghana you're ready.
It na kase ya ade na mo maboa mo ho asie o.
Ya boy hu ya campaign I say the dia sentina e kwa ye kodi first no. So enti na say wo mo buy on be technical evaluation no of all the countries. So we technical evaluation no. Wo mo hwe no na e say Ghana e di first. Na say yamfa dia ambamu ko say dia Ghana ye di akutin wo African unity mu ko na ye isabi yen normal ye si obi amfa nkyere no ase de wo ko ye na wo kyerɛ ade normal ye kyerɛ ye no say ye bituma ye no eno ko ampo e ka ho e ma
It is say see ano secretariat die na wayi ano e de amaye benefits e beba Ghana so na ye nsa kan aduru say ye be select secretary general any experts staff on baba ye ho adwuma. How are we going about it? How would Ghana also benefit?
Benefits number one secretariat no abay say be fa nipa am be ye adwuma wo na secretary general name penifo e be ye adwuma wo no de African Union for wo mo process bi a say ukomu be application akọ no de Ghana for na be pa na be African Union wo headquarters obiara no de tie biara no about local staff apart from international staff, local staff no so a bay edgema headquarters no. Good one also almost free baby a secretariat in one. And you say a banner say local recruitment now. The opportunity was I just say the big Ghanaian professionals no more bay edgema so opportunity. But I don't know. Idea headquarters here about Ghana. And it is going to position Ghana as the new commercial capital for Africa. Every say who speak who percent who be Ghana, who be Africa. If they be market, they have one marketer. Now, baby, Edwin Yacha. So the first place I do one no any baby a headquarters no work. And just by citing the headquarters in Ghana, no one. I can tell you, Ghana is now going to become the new gateway for trade in Africa. And I say you that opportunity. Now you how you bet me afa that opportunity no. Now you know so that also be a new so. All the time I can. Foreign investors are one mono percent, one mono. I feel omudu money trade Africa. If you say the be African market in mono. Good one or opportunity. So the investment, the become idea. Yeah, idea headquarters one or didn't any ever fair. And what you know, what we say, yet the Ancatano for SME, a year, one more young graduate, so that opportunity are by headquarters are by a big private sector, producers, no, the BB, a Fofobi, my young who say, no. You bet me a use African market, to sell our goods throughout the continent. Small scale producers, so a debris. And our first, that you did headquarters now, the TDR, your meetings, your conferences, the attention will be now on Ghana because of the new headquarters. And also, you and the there will be many benefits. Indirectly, and now the way I bent will be better. Factory now, I'm also after whom yes, I do obenya, but collateral benefit to be on obenya. And then it is the biggest opportunity for us in Ghana to lift our private sector up. So that we can take control of the African market.
Opportunity how does it sink in with your forward march towards economic prosperity?
So they say Ghana, you say Ghana beyond aid. Now the Ghana beyond aid there. Now I say open coin there. They say we didn't share for beba. And aid so. Now some share for following coin. Would it trade in investment? A private sector will lead the development rather than aid leading development. And she say, TFT about headquarters for Ghana. Now you are also talking about Ghana beyond age there. So I say, as some corner who can, I say, I better say trade and investment now. They say, you focus on, and no, and that first opportunity about we should now take advantage of the African market and the opportunity. So our African market here also the Uber modern as a country. Now to me a capture African market now. And once a so to me global market. So you use the regional market or the African market as a stepping stone to the global market. And you know you have big opportunity as a country.
You better say na said you see in the Debia and there was a why ya dear na fena you listen about question in 30 seconds na year no man na koko ye wadwuma na your friend Ike or United Kingdom specifically London na or your geologist and or the way yaba yem kind of question young kind of what's happening na fi emfa Musa obi kakra bi na fawie or say they should differentiate between free trade and free residence. Otherwise, the whole purpose will be defeated as the ECOWAS situation. So now, free movement of goods and services. And who seminar year can and now say free movement of persons also will be included.
The other kind, free movement of goods without duty. And no any kind. The total no a free movement for services. I just say a goods in one. The offer tourism, offer telecommunications, offer financial service. So we are bank. So we are saying no. There's a nature who turn physical goods in one. They say it's a construction or Ghana. They say no. But to me, any opportunity. Ubetimi after a juma outside Ghana. She said that one. Umbre to study and can be a first. A dear CFT any. The Ukaya first no. Not a contractors. UK or say Kasajan any schedule contractors. First no multi contract. Well, East Africa any idea. They say net trading goods no one. Trading services also. Now the say open no money a year juma. I would the free movement of persons so come one. It's me but I know there a separate protocol. A separate protocol from the trading goods, the trading services you are making. I know so no. And my mind almost signed and we are separate from TFTA. Oh, and there is a Ghana say, yeah, sign that free movement of Nigeria. Dear, almost as you say, and no, before for a year free movement of persons, not yet can was free movement of goods and services. No more, each country, a quite a while person who said, it's a while person who sign. Yeah, and also separating her and say with me a young word.
You, Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry, Ura John Alan John Kojo Chematini. Yada was say, Kwani our first one would he actually yin I was wishing say a year, a yama yina, na yet me achieve economic prosperity in Tinyamincha, Koko, you were Juman Pacho.
You, but that's
Alan Chematin, Natin and Cano.
Opportunity ni great. Na yenum say
as I be across bit me anya cleaner adwuma ho.
Say wafa we na say no ma bebre na de be ba.
Obedi production assistant dey go cleaner crowd. Africa Free Trade area.
Obi na bo adwuma ko bi say adwuma ko we cleaner ho ha.
Eti yadara say na said it's
Utie Oha Extreme Punk no Needs FM.